My name's Jessie Mahoney, and I am a pediatrician and a physician coach, and I teach mindful yoga most weekends on Saturdays at 9 Pacific, and I've kind of started to teach maybe once a month this Yin restorative Sunday or holiday evening class. And the intention of this class is different than my usual mindful yoga class in that Yin is meant to be nervous system yoga. So it's meant to upregulate the parasympathetic nervous system and invite calm and stillness and quiet. And so that's going to be the invitation of tonight's class. And as you settle in, I will tell you a little bit more about the theme for tonight. But for those of you who aren't settled, the soles of your feet will be together and you'll lower yourself down if you have blocks onto blocks, and if you don't, just onto the floor. Occiput on the tall block, lower edge of the either the bra line or the scapula, right on the front edge of the lower block. And if you're on the floor, hand to heart, hand to belly. And if you're on the blocks, your hands can be open towards the sky. Allowing yourself to settle in and arrive. Taking a few moments to come into this hour, the hour of an intention of calm and peace and quieting and stillness, setting yourself up for the week by beginning with kindness. And the invitation of tonight's class is really self-compassion. And I've had a few people recently tell me that they weren't even aware of self-compassion until they started working with me in coaching or coming to a retreat. And I spend a lot of time talking about asking what would love do. And yesterday or 2 days ago in mindful yoga, we talked about leading with your heart and collective hearts, and with the heart front and center. And tonight's invitation is to go into your own heart. Many of us are not as kind to ourselves as we are to others. We don't give ourselves the same grace and compassion that we give to others. And when we face disappointment, we're often disappointed in ourselves. And we struggle to process that disappointment. And so tonight's invitation is to allow all of those feelings, those disappointments, with kindness and love inward. And so shining that heart directly inward. And for those of you that are familiar with Kristin Neff, she talks about fierce self-compassion, but she also talks about tender self-compassion. And tender self-compassion is the invitation of tonight. I find that for many physicians, we struggle with the tender, the kindness, the softness, the acceptance of perhaps our fallibility or disappointments or decisions that didn't turn out the way we thought they should, or people that aren't behaving in the way we think they should, or hoped that they would be. Sometimes people we love turn out not to be able to be the person we hope they would be. Maybe it's parents or a spouse or even children. Not everyone can live up to those expectations. And so a kindness for you tonight, a kindness and tenderness for your heart and its wishes and desires and disappointments and loves and all of those emotions. And so with that hand to heart, connecting the heel of your hand into the heart, and if you're on the blocks, you can just lift your hand up, noticing that skin to skin, the pressure of the heart space, sending your heart tender self-compassion. And if you struggle with the compassion part, can you just send kindness? Can you send acceptance? Can you send a commitment not to be mean? Bathing yourself with kind. In one of my favorite books, The Boy, the Mole, the Fox, and the Horse, talks about what success is and what a good life is. And he says it's to be kind. That's what he wants to be when he grows up. And being kind to ourselves is the most important part. And bring the other hand to belly if it's not there already. Sending that kindness right into your belly area, into the solar plexus, into the sacral area, an area where we send a lot of judgment. Sending kindness, sending appreciation and gratitude and support for all the important work that has been done there. And kindness for any fallibilities, issues, things that aren't working right, don't feel good. Sending love and kindness into that area as well. And with a hand to heart, hand to belly, coming back to the breath. Breathing in through your nose and out through your mouth. We'll take 5 deep breaths here. Noticing your chest rise and fall. Sending that breath to your nervous system, an invitation to soften and to relax. Closing your eyes if that feels good. And sending the intention and attention to whichever hand, area under the hand needs attention and kindness. Bathing yourself with kindness, not as a pass, but as what you need to show up as the best human you can for yourself and for the world, because you're worth it. And if that phrase causes your breath to catch, take a deeper breath this time, in through your nose and out through your mouth. And notice for a moment how you feel. If you're up on the blocks, lowering your hands and allowing your chest to open for a moment more. And if you're on the floor, lowering your hands to your sides, palms open, and just allowing yourself to soften in for a moment. And for anyone who's in fish or up on the blocks, taking the blocks out, rolling off to the side, and lowering yourself down to your back on the floor. We're going to start on the floor tonight. And when you arrive on the floor, you'll bring your hands to the outer edges of your thighs and draw your knees together. Bringing your feet apart to hips width. Readjust your sacrum so it's flat on the floor. And you'll take your right ankle, bringing it over the left knee, thread your hands behind the left thigh, and draw that thigh in towards you, coming into an easy figure 4. Flex your ankles to protect your knees and press your right elbow into that right knee, enjoying the release in the right hip. If you have more room and would like to wrap your hands around the left shin, you can draw that in towards you. Huge breaths here. Notice if the breath became shallow. The breath is the key to softening the nervous system. Breathing with intention in through your nose and out through your mouth. On the in-breath, send it into that right hip area. Breathing in as you hug that left shin towards you. Long, smooth exhale. And for anyone for whom this is too much, you can leave your left foot on the floor. One more big deep breath here. Exhale, long, smooth, and even release. Bring your hands back behind the left thigh. Straight your left foot and leg. Reach the heel towards the ceiling and draw your toes towards your nose. Press your hamstring into your hands and enjoy the release. Breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth. 3 breaths here. Heel presses towards the sky. Toes press gently towards your nose. Hamstring into your hands. The hands are cradling the hamstring. Breathe in and out. When you encounter tightness on the in-breath, soften. Exhale, let it out. Bend your left knee. You'll lower the left foot to the floor, release your hands from the back of the thigh, and reach your hands over your head, either into a cactus shape or a T, whatever works for your shoulders. Once again, kindness here. Kindness to you. You'll drop your knees to the left and the sole of the right foot will land on the floor, coming into a figure 4 twist. You'll notice the right hip pop open, the right psoas pop open. Breathing into the line of the right body, side body here. Breathe in through your nose, sending it down the whole right side body all the way to your knee. And a smooth exhale back the way it came. Use the breath as a conduit to spread that kindness and calm into every nook and cranny of that right side. Breathing in that kindness and acceptance and tenderness. And breathing out the judgment. If there's disappointment or sadness, allowing that and breathing that in with kindness. It's part of being human. And a long, smooth, even exhale. One more deep breath for any frustrations, disappointments in others, in how life has turned out, perhaps your colleagues, your children, your partners, breathing in acceptance and kindness and tenderness for all of that humanness. Exhale, let it out. You'll bring your knees back to center, evening out your sacrum. Uncross your right ankle, lowering it to the floor. Raise your left ankle to the right knee. Thread your hands behind the right knee and hug it in towards you. Flex your ankles to protect your knee. Press your left elbow into the left knee and breathe into that right hip. Slow and smooth. This side may be looser or tighter. They're not supposed to be the same. Breathing into the hip. Lots of tension and tightness and lack of kindness held in the hips. Use the breath, sending it right into the hips, and let it out. You want to grab your right shin, go ahead and do that. Notice if it feels good or not. Breathing into that left hip, long, smooth, and even. Yin Yoga is slow. We spend a lot of time pausing, releasing, and softening. Sometimes that in and of itself is uncomfortable. Kindness for that. Kindness for our unfamiliarity with slow. Use the breath to help you be present. Use the breath to help you let go. And if there's any resistance to this kindness, soften. The more kindness and love we send inward, the more we have available to send outward. Bring your hands behind the right hamstring, straight the right leg, press the heel towards the sky, toes towards your nose, hamstring into both palms. Reach the heel towards the sky. Use the breath to bathe your whole chest with oxygen, space, and kindness. Visualizing that kindness and love spreading everywhere inward. We spend so much time sending it outward. The tenderness to every cell, everywhere in your chest, in your belly. Press the heel towards the sky and the hamstring into your hands. Breathing into pockets of tightness in the back of the leg and release, let go on the exhale. One more breath here. Using the breath to move energy, move judgment. You'll bend your right knee, release your hands, lower your right foot to the floor. Arms will come up to the cactus shape or the T, dependent on shoulders and space in your home yoga studio. Drop your left sole of the foot to the right, coming into a figure 4 twist. And notice here what would feel good. You may want to switch your arms. Breathe into the left line of the body, all the way into the upper hip area. Using the breath to move stuck energy, using the breath to bathe every cell, once again, with the kindness, acceptance, softness, and tenderness for any hurt, tenderness for any frustrations, resentments, and disappointments. Allowing yourself to change your relationship with this disappointment. Many of us women physicians hold disappointment very tight. And so allowing yourself to soften. If you hoped others would be different, or you hoped situations would turn out differently, allowing a softness and kindness and tenderness and compassion for that. Notice if anything releases as you're here a little longer. Use the breath when that new pocket of tightness emerges, and exhale the tension. Breathing into the nervous system, bathing your nervous system with kindness. Letting it soften that hypervigilance and allowing a little more ease in. Gently bring your knees back to center. Uncross them. Plant your sacrum on the floor and hug your knees in tight. Squeeze your forehead to your knees, squeezing tight, 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 in a ball, as tight as you can. Everything tight. And exhale, release, lower your feet to the floor. Stretch your legs long in front and your arms long above. You'll take your right thumb and middle finger, grab your left wrist, tug your left wrist to the right. Walk your feet to the right front corner of the mat and place your left ankle atop the right ankle, coming into a crescent moon. Breathing into your armpit all the way down the left line of your body, all the way down to the left ankle. And letting the breath exhale along the same line, all the way out those left fingers as you tug them to the right. Huge breath in. Kindness to any tightness in that left line. Exhaling, release. Walk your hands back to center. Switch the clasp of your hands. Walk your feet back to center and switch them to the opposite side. Right ankle over left. Left thumb and middle finger grab the right wrist and tug to the left. Enjoy that right side body. Sending the drink of breath all the way down the right line here. Exhale, release, and let it out. Huge breath again, breathing into the whole line of the right side body. Particularly your armpit, an area we ignore, sending it kindness and appreciation. When it doesn't work, things really fall apart. Noticing if there's anywhere down that right line of the body that needs appreciation, kindness, tenderness, spots that are holding hurt or injuries. Use the breath to send that kindness and tenderness inward. Coming back to center, uncross your feet. You'll bring them back to center. Bend your knees once again. Lower your hands by your hips. We're going to come into bridge pose. If you have a block and you want to do supported bridge, you can do that. If not, you'll place your hands on the floor, soles of the feet on the floor. Press into your hands and your feet. Lift your hips up towards the sky and shimmy your shoulders underneath you. In Yin, we don't push too hard. Reaching your hips towards the sky, glutes engaged, knees connect towards one another. If you have a block, you slide it onto the sacrum and you can lower yourself down, not on the highest setting, on the medium or low setting. And you can allow yourself to soften in and relax. For those of you that are lifted up, lifting your hips up and enjoying the blood flow coming back down into the heart, replenishing the heart here, breathing in and out. 3 breaths here in bridge pose, reorganizing the blood flow, sending the blood back to the heart, nourishing that heart first, sending the love and kindness inward, not just outward, leading with love, but for yourself. If you're in a not supported bridge, you'll lower down to the floor. For those of you that are using the block, we're going to raise our feet up into the air, and you can do that on the block one leg at a time. For everyone else, you're going to bend, you're going to pick your right foot up and stretch your right heel towards the sky. Bend your left knee and send your left heel towards the sky. Flex your ankles, toes towards your nose, and reach your heels towards the sky. Your belly's engaged here. And pause and breathe. 5 long breaths. Hands are light on the floor. Breathing in through your nose and out through your mouth. Three more breaths. Even the inhale and the exhale. The breath resets the nervous system. Long, smooth, even inhales and exhales. In a regular life, we usually only use 30% of our lung volume. In yoga, try to increase that, not forcibly, but with kindness and compassion and tenderness. Bathing more cells with the breath. Last one here. And you'll bend one knee and lower your foot to the floor. Bend the other knee and lower your foot to the floor. If you're on the block, slide it out from under you and give yourself a moment to arrive here on the earth. We will roll over to whatever side works for you in your setup, pausing on the side for a moment, noticing how you feel, and pressing into your hands, coming up to a comfortable seat. If you have a block or a bolster, you can grab it. We're going to extend our legs long in front and move the flesh of your seat out of the way. And we're going to do caterpillar pose. You can have a bolster on your lap, you can have a block on your lap, or if you don't have anything, you're literally going to fold forward and release your head and neck into a forward fold. If you have a block and you'd like to place your third eye on the block, hands on the floor, that will ground you into the third eye. And we'll be here for 5 breaths. Eyes closed. Allowing yourself to go inward, draw your attention to your heart space. Tucked carefully behind the block. Resting in that chest cavity. Taking a moment to bathe your heart with kindness. Sending that love inward. Sending that pool of love inward. Sending the tender self-compassion, kindness, acceptance.
And if all of that seems very far away, perhaps just a commitment to not be as hard on yourself. Knowing there's a different path forward. And if as you're here, you notice your legs begin to shake or awaken, send the breath, deepen the breath, and exhale. One more big breath here. And exhale. We'll slowly rise up out of caterpillar.
And we're going to come into butterfly. Butterfly pose, you bring the soles of your feet together, knees apart. Hands can come to your ankles. You can also use a block here if you want to place them on your arches, or once again, you can fold forward in butterfly pose. Allowing yourself to transform from that tight caterpillar into a butterfly. Allowing yourself once again to fold forward and release. And noticing your heart space. Once again. Noticing how it feels here with your feet different, knees different. Sending specific attention into the groin and hip area. If it feels good, you can also give your feet a lovely massage. We often don't give them that massage, massaging the soles of your feet, your arches, your toes. Treating your feet with kindness, thanking them for all that they do. Noticing any judgment around the feet and bathing them with kindness and appreciation. Slowly rising upright once again. And we'll spread our legs wide, coming into a wide angle pose, finding your ischial spines and connecting them downward, deeply rooting them into the earth, finding your sense of stillness and centeredness. You'll bring your hands between your legs, palms on the floor, and inch them forward where they feel good. And once again, allow your head and neck to fall forward, chin coming down to that heart space, and sending kindness and appreciation into the heart space. Connecting to this idea of self-compassion, to the idea that you have likely always done the best you could in the moment with the information, resources, experience that you had. Perhaps we can send that tender self-compassion rather than our old habit mean friend of we should have, could have done better. Knowing that when we bring self-compassion, that's what we need to do our best in the more difficult times. That's what we need to find the creative solutions. If you have the ability to smidge your hands forward a tiny bit more as you rest here, feel free. Send the breath to the back of the legs. Any pockets of tightness, wiggle your toes. Adding a little lightness can sometimes also allow energetic shifts. Huge breath in. Use the breath to shift the energy, to soften. And then exhale, smidge farther forward if you have room. Slowly walk your hands back up to your groin. Bring your hands to the outer edges of your thighs and you'll draw your feet together. We're going to come into cow face pose. For those of you who know it, you will take your right foot and cross it over the left to hug the right ankle towards the left hip. And you'll bend the left knee and hug the left ankle towards the right hip. I have no idea why this is called cow face pose, but it feels amazing on your hips. Find your ischial spines, tilt them forward, and align your spine all the way up towards the sky. Imagine yourself sitting with grace, hands on the ankle. Tilt that pelvic bowl forward a tiny bit and shine that well-nourished heart forward. Huge breath in here. As you reach tall, you can keep your eyes closed and exhale. One more breath here as you sit tall. And exhale, release. Release your hands from your ankles, stretch your arms wide, and we're going to come into eagle arms, your right elbow under left, cross your elbows, bring your palms to the back wall and bring them together, grab your thumbs, whatever works for your shoulders. Raise your elbows to shoulder height, huge inhale here, lifting the elbows up a smidge and round forward, fold forward, release the head and neck. And 3 breaths here, long, smooth, and even. We'll slowly rise up, untangle the arms towards the side walls and lower them down. Uncross your ankles, stretch them long, move the flesh of your seat, engage your belly, reach your arms towards the sky and fold forward, release, even out your hips.
Always transitioning well, taking the time to move from one spot to the other with intention. Sliding up your shins to your knees, to your thighs, and we'll cross our feet in the opposite direction. You'll bring your left knee on top this time. And if you did the opposite way, you'll know when you get there which side you haven't done. Your knees will be knee to the best of your ability. I have a lot less room on this side because of a hip injury. And so here I practice self-compassion. Grab your ankles, hugging them towards you, tilt your ischial spines, ground them into the earth, tilt the pelvis forward, align your spine. Use the breath, a drink of breath all the way in through your nose as the crown of your head reaches towards the sky. And exhale, let it out. Sit tall. Use the breath to flush out the sludge, the judgment, the resentment, the frustration. But with intention, not flushing out the disappointment, allowing that disappointment to be there. Because disappointment comes from hopes, comes from love. And tender compassion allows it to be there, breathing in and out. You'll reach your arms towards the side, coming into eagle arms on the opposite side, left elbow under right, palms face the back, thumbs come together, elbows to shoulder height, lifting up a little bit higher than shoulder height. Huge inhale, exhale, round forward, folding forward right into that heart space. Head comes into the cradle of your arms and breathe. Noticing the energy, the release, all of it. 3 breaths here. Slowly rising up. Untangle your arms and lowering them down. We'll untangle our legs, and this time sweep your legs underneath you and come to hands and knees. Hands directly under your shoulders, knees directly under your hips. Finding your belly. Inhale for a cow pose. Stretch the front of your belly, deliciously reach the crown of your head towards the sky and enjoy it. Exhale, round your belly, suck your navel all the way up towards the sky and hold it there as tall as you can. Coming back to tabletop. Lower your forearms to the floor. We're going to come into puppy pose. Walk your elbows as far as you can forward. Spread your fingers wide and lower your forehead to the floor. If your forehead doesn't reach the floor, use a block.
And enjoy your shoulders here. We'll be here for 5 long, deep breaths. Notice your heart, sending it kindness, tenderness, care. Perhaps some tenderness even about all the judgment you've sent to it over the years. Perhaps some forgiveness that was an old habit. Now that you know better, you can do better. Breathing into the armpits, the shoulders, any tight nook and cranny. The longer you're here, you'll notice different spots. Sending love and kindness to each tight spot that calls out for attention. Long, smooth, even cleansing breaths. Use the exhale to let go, to soften, to deepen. Slowly walk your elbows back underneath you, pressing up to hands and knees. We're going to come into broken toe. Excuse me. Lifting up so your torso is upright. You're going to lean your rear end towards your toes and curl your toes underneath you. Taking each and every toe out so that each and every toe, excuse me, gets some attention. And you'll lean your hips back towards your heels to a spot that feels good. And I know that some people love this and some people don't. Gifting your toes a little bit of kindness and attention and stretch. We're going to bring our arms out wide towards the sides once again, wrapping them around in front, giving ourselves a huge hug this time. Wiggle your fingers towards the medial edge of the scapula, lifting your elbows up over your chest and rounding forward, squeezing tight with the hug. Huge breath in, 3 breaths here. Last one. Lifting your chin back up, untangling your arms, lifting up off the heels for a moment, lowering back down and wrapping your arms in the opposite direction. Huge hug coming right back onto those toes, sending them love. Fingers come to the medial edge of the scapula, squeezing tight. Lift your elbows up and roll downward. 3 deep, nourishing breaths here. Notice any resistance, any tightness. Slowly lifting your chin up, untangling your arms, stretching them wide, and lowering back to hands and knees. Bang your feet out. Have some fun with it. And we will come back to hands and knees. You're going to bring your right foot forward, coming into Anjaneyasana or a low lunge. Wiggle your right toes as far forward as you can. If you want to use blocks here, you can. If you need a blanket under that right knee, you can. We're going to soften in, release the left hip flexor. If you have blocks, you'll put one on either side of that front foot. Hands directly under your shoulders. Make sure your right knee is not extending beyond the right ankle. And sending the breath, the kindness, the tenderness into that left hip. Knowing that we carry a lot in the hips. A lot of old stuff, a lot of judgments, a lot of frustrations and disappointments. And as you're here, you may notice some emotions pop up. Breathe deeply. Breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth. 3 more long, deep breaths. Allow yourself to sink in and soften. We're going to come into lizard pose. You'll bring your right hand to the inside of the right foot. Walk your right foot to the outer edge of the mat and let your knee roll open. Some of you will be able to come down to your elbows. Others of you will have a lizard that's more upright like mine. Taking a moment to be kind to your hips and how they work, and kind to the whole groin area. Sending that tender self-compassion into the groin area, appreciating all that it has helped you with, all the things that have worked over the years, and compassion for any disappointments held therein. Breathing into the pockets of tightness and noticing your heart as you're here. Bathing it with kindness, with compassion, at least neutral. If you struggle with the kindness or the compassion or the acceptance, can you just not be mean? Rolling onto the sole of your right foot, bringing your palms back to the floor, coming up if you're upright, and we're going to sweep that right leg back around, coming to hands and knees, walking yourself back, coming into child's pose, knees apart, toes together, wiggle your fingers as far forward as you can, lower your forehead to the floor, coming into child's pose. We'll be here for 10 breaths. Allowing things to slow and soften. Tending to your heart space here. Wishing your own heart well. Checking in, noticing what it needs. What would be kind? Giving it space and time to fill. Releasing any judgment that you carry in that heart space. Knowing that for all of you, all along the way, you did the best you could. You made the best decisions that you could in the moment. They may not have turned out how you thought. But that doesn't mean that you didn't do the best you could. Appreciating that heart for accompanying you on the journey. And for all the feelings it's brought, good and bad. Bathing it with kindness and tender self-compassion. Slowly, we'll transition back up to hands and knees. And bring that left foot forward, coming into a low lunge on this side. Scooching your right knee back. Left foot will come forward so your left knee does not extend beyond your ankle. And send the breath and kindness into the right hip flexor. Come back to the breath. And notice as you're here how you feel. Notice your nervous system. Notice your heart. Notice if there's anywhere that's still gripping. Send the breath and the tenderness there. 3 more breaths here for that right hip flexor. Bathing every little tight pocket that's now letting you know it's there with kindness and attention and appreciation for holding all of these things so tightly. And if there's disappointment in there, welcoming it, embracing it, realizing that disappointment comes from hopes and dreams and wishes. We'll slowly shift into lizard pose. You'll bring your left hand to the inside of the left foot. Left foot comes to the outer edge and roll onto the outer edge of the left foot at the outer edge of the mat. And if you can roll down, feel free to fold in. Sending the breath to the entire groin region. Breathing in tender self-compassion there. Sending the love inward. The appreciation, the care for all the good and all the bad held there. All the amazing and all the disappointments held there. All the excitement and all the fear held there. Breathing into it. Use the breath to move the energy. One more breath here. We'll slowly bring that left foot back to center. Sweep it back around you, coming into hands and knees once again. And we're going to come down onto our belly. Coming into Sphinx pose, your elbows will be directly under your shoulders, forearms on the floor, fingers spread wide, heart shining forward. That heart now bathed with tender self-compassion, perhaps a little lighter, perhaps a little more full. Sending the breath into your lower back. Huge breath in and out. 3 more cleansing breaths down the whole front of the torso line, all the way into the groin, all the way into the front of the hips, connecting to the earth. Every cell, every nook and cranny bathes with kind, tender, compassionate breath. And this last breath going right into the heart space. And we'll lower ourselves down, bringing your hands to make a pillow. Forehead's going to come onto the dorsum of the top hand. Noticing the front of the hips on the floor and taking a moment here in a prone shavasana to notice the front body. Notice how it feels. We rarely attend to the front side of our body here. Appreciate it and enjoy it. Release your right hand. Bend your right foot, bringing your right foot towards your rear end. Grab the right foot with your right hand and stretch the heel towards your buttock. Bend your right elbow and enjoy that right front thigh, breathing into it. Long, slow, and smooth. Release the right foot and the right hand. Replace with the right hand under your forehead. Bend the left foot and reach your left hand, coming to reach the left foot, drawing your heel towards your buttock. And enjoy the release on this side. Three long, smooth inhales. Release your left hand, left foot. You release both hands now. Bend both knees, grab your ankles or the feet. We're going to come into locust pose, lifting up, boat pose, sorry. Heart shines forward, stretching the front side body, heels reach towards you, enjoy the front of the body easefully. 2 breaths here. And release and lower down. Coming into a prone shavasana here. Once again, third eye on the floor, palms reach towards the sky. 3 deep breaths. Reach your right arm out to the side and raise it up to about 2 o'clock on the clock. You'll bring your left hand to your left shoulder. Press into the left hand, rolling onto your right shoulder. You'll drop your left foot behind you and you'll notice a lovely opening in the front of the right shoulder. Relax your head and neck and breathe into it. 3 deep breaths. Don't overdo it here. A little goes a long way. Wiggle those right fingers. If you need to lower your hands, do that. It's a little less stretch. Many of us have tons of tightness in that shoulder. Breathing into it with kindness. Rolling back onto your belly. And you'll switch sides. You'll bring your left hand straight out to about 10 p.m. Your right hand's going to come under your right shoulder, rolling onto that left side. Right foot comes behind the buttock. And you'll have a stretch in the front of that left shoulder. And if it's too much for you, just hang out in prone shavasana. 5 breaths here. With kindness, notice what's good and what's too much. Lean back to your belly. And we're going to press back to child's pose once again. Knees apart, toes together. Lowering your forehead to the floor and stretch your arms long in front. Coming into a very relaxed child's pose. Softening in. 5 breaths here. Before we transition into shavasana, you're already beginning to get yourself there in this child's pose. Envisioning the transition already in progress. And we'll slowly transition from here into shavasana. You can just slide your right hip down and your hands back, sliding them around. Grab a bolster if you have one for underneath your knees. Grab a blanket if you need or want one. Keep you cozy. And settle in. Allowing yourself to arrive on the mat. When you arrive, notice the parts of you that are connected to the earth.
your sacrum, your shoulders, your occiput, perhaps the backs of your arms. Allowing yourself to settle in with ease. Connecting with the breath for a moment. Noticing the inhale and the exhale. And then releasing control of the breath. Letting your body breathe for itself. And letting the earth hold you. Allowing yourself to be held, be cared for, be taken care of. Trusting that here on your mat, the earth will hold you and all will be well. Gently begin to deepen your breath. Slowly start to wiggle your fingers and your toes. If it would feel good, take a big juicy inhale, stretch your arms long above and your toes long in front, sending the breath from one end to the other, fingertips to toes. Huge exhale, release. And draw your knees into your chest and slowly roll over to one side. Pause for a moment. And notice how you feel. Notice your heart and how it feels. Perhaps more soft, more full. Perhaps better cared for. Notice your nervous system and how it feels. Perhaps more soft, more relaxed, more easeful.
when you're ready, press into your hands and come up to a comfortable seat. And when you arrive, dropping right back into Shavasana. Taking in a huge inhale and exhale. And bring a hand to heart and another hand atop. Heel of the hand pressing into that heart space. With hand to hand atop, the dorsum of one hand connected to the palmar surface of the other, noticing that skin to skin connection and pressing in gently, sending yourself love and kindness for the journey of being human. Remembering this ability to bathe yourself with kindness and love. Not waiting for others to do it, but taking good care of yourself, knowing that that is the path forward to all the things that you hope and dream of. Bringing your hands to heart center, rubbing your palms together, warming them up. Bringing thumbs to sternum, pressing them into that heart space. Finger pads reach towards the sky. Thank you all so much for practicing with me this evening. May you all have a week filled with kindness, compassion, and love, directed not only outward, but inward. Namaste.